Anyway, they make their way around to the north side. And this is where we will begin our exploration. Hey Wargamers, welcome back. Purple Druid here with another episode of Druid Quest. Today we are going to be exploring the expedition to Sounding Bridge, which is something we left off a couple of weeks ago. It is an expedition funded by our friend Morpan. He lives in the town of Highfork, and he has funded an expedition to discover if a location that he learned about in an old scroll still exists. He has hired 5 mercenaries, men-at-arms, to go and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and then just lay them down so you can see them. Okay. So we have Maleg the Explorer. He is steadfast and rough. We have 2 sellswords, Zurya, or Zurva. I think that's a V actually, Zurva. He is moody and secretive. And then we have Karathi, who is obstinate and tough. We also have Agar. She is cold and wild. And we have Kos, the guard. He is guarded and stern. So these are our 5 adventurers who will be undertaking this quest. And I have the minis out in case we need to do a battle. In which case, we'll use my new battle board that I made. I'll zoom back out here for you. All right. So this is just a canvas board that I spray painted with camouflage green and flat black. So this is what we'll use for our battle board if we need to do a battle. Let's get this rear standby. All right, so now we have our game space focused in here. We'll be using the rules for Kal-Arath for this solo play. We will also be traveling upriver. So I had to come up with some river travel rules, which we'll go over in just a moment. And we're going to be going up into the mountains to look for a ruined area. Now, the ruined town that we're going to find is... we're going to use the maps from Treacheries of the Troublesome Towns, which is a supplement for 4 Against Darkness. And this has town tiles on a D66 table. So what we'll do is when we get to the ruined village, we'll take out our 4 Against Darkness map, and we'll begin somewhere along the edges here, and we'll start rolling for town tiles, and that will be what we'll explore. We will also use Blueholm for the encounters, and we'll use the wilderness encounters on page 54. We'll use the mountain, we'll roll a d8, and whatever that comes up with, we'll roll a d12 on one of these tables. And then if we need to do a combat, that's what we'll do. So those are all of the rules, procedures that we'll be using. So let me get these out of the way. And we'll take notes in our Druid Quest notebook. And then we have our binder here. This has works in progress. I also put the character sheets for Maleg, Zurva, Karathi, Agar, and Kos. Those are all in here. Malag has strength 2, toughness 1, intelligence 1, and Zerva has strength 1, agility 1, intelligence 1. Karathi strength 1, toughness 1, presence 1. And Agar and Kos both have strength, agility, and toughness of 1. Malag has 6 hit points, Zerva has 4, and the rest have 3. Malag is in medium armor with a shield. Everyone else is in light armor with a shield. So they'll all reduce 2 from their damage. Malag will reduce 3. They're all armed with spears. And Malag has also got a sword and 2 hatchets. Zerva and Karathi, in addition to their spears, they have bows, daggers, and hatchets. And then Agar and Kos, in addition to their spear, have slings and daggers. Their character classes, Malag is an explorer, Zerva and Karathi are warriors, and then Agar and Kos are rogues. Malag will have advantage versus getting lost. Zerva and Karathi will both have a second attack available at disadvantage. And Agar will have advantage versus sneaking, and Kos will have advantage with any thieving skills. We're bringing a rope, some rope, a crowbar, oil, healing herbs, a tent, some torches, and then we have 2 load beasts that we'll be putting on the boat as well that are carrying the tent, water barrels, rations, extra spears and bows and arrows and hatchets. So we've got all the equipment we should need in order to facilitate this expedition. Now, the map that we're going to use, we're starting here in High Fork, and they've hired a boat, a sailing vessel, which will take them up the river. And the rivers that show up on this map are navigable. So this South Fork river is navigable all the way up in here to hex 2522, subhex 22. And this is allegedly, at the end of the river, there's allegedly a ruined village and what's known as the Sounding Bridge. And so that's what this group has been paid to go and discover, whether or not that still exists, and to recover any sort of documents or items that they can from that village. Now, this village is actually in a hex very nearby the Tomb of Gamsar, which is in hex 25, 22, 31, 30, 29, 20, 27. So they're only a few miles apart. However, they are separated by quite a bit of inhospitable mountainous terrain. So they won't be doing any kind of crossover missions at this point. Let's see here. Next up, for the river travel, let's go ahead and zoom back out. For the river travel, I did a little bit, just a little bit of research regarding traveling in war games, and what we came up with were some very simple rules, very basic, that we're going to use for this. I will take a harder look at these types of rules going forward. But right now, basic riverborne transport, a sailing vessel can move 3 plus D3 miles per hour, which will be an average speed over a period of 12 hours. And then you'll either add or subtract the river speed, which will be a D20 plus 10 times 1/10 of a mile per hour. So that will give you a range of 1.1 to 3 miles an hour for the speed of the river. And therefore, if you roll a 2 on your D3, that'll give you 5 miles per hour. And then we roll a 5 on our D20. That will give us 5 plus 10 is 15 times 0.1, 1.5 miles per hour. So that'll be the speed of the river on average over the course of the 12-hour period. So they'll manage 3.5 miles per hour upstream times 12 hours. And if we look at our map, we can see that we've got about a mile here, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 miles to go. So 25 miles divided by 3.5 is going to be under 8. It's going to be about 7. So it'll take about 7 hours, the better part of a day, to sail all that direction. We're going to go ahead and roll 2 encounters for the river. So on a 6, we'll have an encounter. There are no encounters on the river. So our intrepid group will make it up to their destination without any sort of problems. Now, once they get there, they're going to go ahead and make camp because it's late in the day. So we're going to go to the camp on page 31 in Kal-Arath. And they're going to spend their rations, which will be 5 rations will be expended. So 7 hours of travel. No encounters. And we'll expend 5 rations. And as I said, they're leaving on the 12th of July, so this is the 12th. At the end of the day, they'll check for nighttime encounters. There will be a nighttime encounter on a 1 or 2. All right, so there's a 1. So let's go ahead and roll what kind of encounter we have. A 12. A demon emissary. Oh boy. Nighttime encounter. Demon emissary. All right, I'm going to need to think about that for a minute. Hang on. Okay, so here's what I've decided we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and draw an event card. And the Demon Emissary has something to do with that. So these are the weekly event cards. Let's go ahead and let's cut the deck right there. Feral Pack. Wolves attack. Fight or sacrifice 1 resource to escape. So the Demon Emissary has sent a pack of wolves. The group is going to escape, and they're going to go ahead and sacrifice a resource. And while I haven't designed the resource cards yet, we do know that they have load beasts. So they're going to sacrifice one of the load beasts to the wolves in order to escape. So they're going to be able to escape with 1 load beast. And let's go ahead and cross this off. We're going to lose the tent and the water barrels. And let's say there's a 50-50 chance that we'll lose some rations. So on a 1 to 50, we're going to lose D6 rations. 35. Okay, so they're going to lose D6 rations. So 1. So they're only going to lose 1 ration. So we're down to 14 rations. We were at 15. 50-50 chance that they'll lose one of the spears. 61. No. 50-50 chance they'll lose one of the bows. 03. Yes. So they were going to lose 1 bow. And they have 1 thing of arrows. There is a 20% chance they'll lose the arrows. 79. Nope. And then 4 hatchets. 50% chance that they'll lose. Let's say they lose 1 hatchet, and a 50% chance they'll lose 1 more. 61. Nope. Okay. So they lose 1 hatchet. They lose the tent, they lose the water barrels, and they lose a load beast. But they're otherwise able to flee. And now we're going to roll 2 dice as they flee into the darkness. On a 1 or a 2, and we're rolling with advantage because Maleg has advantage versus getting lost. On a 1 or a 2, they get lost in the darkness. A 1 and a 2. So they are going to get lost in the darkness. Perfect. So that means that on the 13th, when they wake up, or when they'll find a place to hide out, and then on the 13th, they are lost. Now, it's kind of hard to get really lost because we have mountains nearby and there's a river. So let's take a look at the map here. I have a close scale map. This is where they were let off. Right here. Let's look at the other map. Let's go here. So these are 5-mile hexes, and each of the small hexes is 1 mile. So we're going to say that they were let off right here on the edge of this map. This is all mountains here. So on a d6, let's roll a d6. On a 1, 2, or 3, they went upstream. On a 4, 5, or 6, they went downstream. It's a 4. Okay, so they went downstream, and they're going to lose a day traveling and making their way back up to their campsite. So now it's the 14th. Now, let's go back to our camping. On a 1 or a 2, we have another nighttime encounter. No, we do not have a nighttime encounter. We do need to subtract 5 more rations. So we are down to 9 rations. But while we're near the river, we don't have to worry about water. On the 14th, they will awaken after their camping. And they'll find themselves right here. And so what they're going to do is travel along the river through this canyon. And as I said, this is a whole 5-mile hex, so these are 1-mile hexes. So they're going to travel along here for about 3 miles until they discover that indeed the bridge still exists. It's right here. So we travel 3 miles in the canyon and find the bridge. All right. In order to get up there, however, that they can't climb that, so they're going to have to go to the end of the canyon and make their way up the slopes. This is more of a slope over here. So let's see. Do they want to go and investigate the south side or the north side? Let's say 1, 2, or 3 will be the south side. Okay, so they're going to go around to the north side. So they'll make their way across over here, and that will bring them to the north side, which was called North Sounding. And that's actually lower. That's at a 450 feet above the river. The south side, High Sounding, is 500 feet above the river. And this water, oh, there's a waterfall here. This is a, anyway, they make their way around to the north side. And this is where we will begin our exploration. So let's get our map. Okay. Make way out of the canyon and around to northern village Now, I have not mapped out, nor have I decided anything about these two towns, the north side and the south side. So I have no idea what's going to happen here. So we'll be discovering this together. So we're at north sounding. And as you can see, there are two different sizes. So north sounding, we're going to say, is half of the size of this map. So we're just going to draw a line across here between 14 and 15, because the map's tiles are 5 squares by 7 squares. And it looks like we'll be entering from the southwest corner. So let's see what we've got there. Treacheries of the troublesome towns. And let's go ahead and roll a black and a red. Black will be 10s. 26. All right, so we have, looks like 4 buildings with some space around them. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this on the map, and I'm going to pause while I do it because that's kind of boring. All right, so here we have our map. And according to the town tiles, this says that in the town there's a bully, a minion, a pickpocket, and a trap. So that means that there's a 1 in 6 chance that moving about they will encounter a trap, and a 3 in 6 chance that they'll have another sort of encounter. So let's go ahead and roll those. Blue for the trap, white for encounters. No, there's no encounters and there's no trap. So they're going to move about and explore, and on a 5 or 6, we'll have some sort of point of interest. No. All right, so now let's roll for the next town tile. Should we go north or east? Yes, will be north. Okay, we're gonna go east. So they're gonna travel along here, and they're gonna come into this tile. 55. 55 is a series of connected buildings, and there's a staircase going down. Interesting. In an alley. Huh. All right, so let me draw this and I'll be right back. All right, here we go. So 55 has 3 encounters, so that'll be a 3 in 6 chance of an encounter. It also shows that there's a hatch, which I just drew in the wrong place. Of course. There's a hatch that leads down into something down below. And then there's a staircase that goes down as well. So there could be a dungeon below there. There's also a tree growing right here. So let's go ahead and roll for our encounter. 1 to 3, 2. So we do have an encounter. So while they're exploring this area, they are going to encounter something in the mountain table. We'll roll a d8, and that's a 1. It's going to be an animal. And a d12 on the animal chart here. A 9. Rats. Okay, so they're going to encounter some rats. Let's see. All right, first of all, the rats will be red. Red for rats. If the rats are surprised on a 1 or a 2, then the party will have a chance to chase them off. If the party is surprised, that means that the rats are attacking them. Okay, so neither are surprised. So are we going to try to scare them off, or are we going to try to attack them? Yes means scare them off. And the answer is no. We're going to fight. So we're going to fight the rats. Now, one of the things that's kind of fun is that I also just purchased a rat swarm. So we have these lovely rats. So we'll put them there. And let's go ahead and fight. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of these 4 here, red, white, blue, black, red, white, blue, black. Let's see which ones are able to move up and get into base contact. 1 to 3 means they can move up and get into base contact. Red, no. White, no. Blue, and black. So the 2 guards will move up, and they're going to fight the rats. And let's take a peek at the bestiary. We're going to have to make up rats. Okay. Hit points. This is swarm. So we're going to say 2d6. Armor. They're small. Let's say 0. Number of attacks. They do bites. D6. And their morale is going to be super low. And special, 10% chance of disease. They are filthy. All right, so 2d6 hit points for the rats. They have 7. And let's go ahead and do our battle. Combat, for those of you, we haven't done a combat in a little while. Combat is really simple. 2d6 plus your strength versus 8 to succeed with a melee attack. Success means you roll your weapon damage, subtracting any modifiers for armor. Critical success, which would be 2 6s, doubles the damage dice. Critical failure means some setback has occurred. And then when the characters are attacked, they roll 2d6 plus agility in order to dodge. And if they fail, they'll take damage the same way. So, attacks we're going to list as simultaneous. Agar will be the black die. Kos will be the red die. And we'll go from there. So they'll get to attack. So 6 plus strength of 1 is a 7. That's not going to make it. Kos, however, has an 8 plus 1 is a 9. So Kos will do damage. D6 damage. 6 damage. Now, 6s explode. So we'll roll again. That'll be 10. 10 damage against the rats. They are obliterated. But the rats do get to attack back. Are they going to attack Agar or Kos? It's going to be Kos. And no. So she's going to take D6 damage. 5 damage. And she only has... Oh, but she has armor and a shield, which reduces that by 2. 5 damage minus 2 will be 3. So that'll bring her down to 0. So then we're going to roll on the death and wounding table for her injuries. 2d6. 7. Unconscious for 2d6 rounds. If wearing a helmet, stunned for 1 round. We're going to disregard that. Her figure doesn't have a helmet. So unconscious for 2d6 rounds. And when she wakes up, she'll be back at 1 hit point. So 11 rounds unconscious. So Kos and Agar fight rats. Kos is able to kill them or drive them off. Kos defeats rats at the price of 3 hit points. Unconscious for 11 rounds. So she will wake up. They'll do first aid on her, and she'll be back to 1 hit point. All right. So now let's roll to see if we find anything else. Is there anything else of interest in this area? A 1. There is. All right. So we're going to go to the point of interest table. And we'll roll 2d6. 61. There is a 20-foot tall statue of a headless humanoid. So in one of these buildings, there is a statue. It's 5 by 7. So let's roll a d6 and a d8. We don't want the 8. We don't want the 8. We don't want the 8. All right, 4 by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, there's a statue. Interesting. Okay. Now, we are at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and we'll go ahead and continue this in the next part of the video. Part 2, Maleg and Company Expedition to Sounding Bridge. Thanks for watching. Be sure and hit subscribe and tune in for part 2 of this video coming very soon.